Good morning, video games. Welcome to Filthy Casuals, a podcast about video games hosted by two very kind and extremely knowledgeable boys. Thank you very much for joining us. My name is Tommy Daslow, and with me, as per usual,
it's the Blue Prince himself.
Ooh.
Ben Vanel here. Very excited to talk about a certain game this week.
Yes.
That's right, Mario Kart World.
Yes.
Fuck, I've had a great week playing video games.
Yeah, a real little sleeper.
Yeah.
And also for people watching the video, once again, new backdrop.
Yes.
We like to keep them guessing.
That's right. We're in my study. I guess we very rarely actually film like our computers.
Yeah.
Because, we're often sitting opposite them or whatever. But just because of the light and stuff in here and having to do the video stuff on the PC, we're here. Take a look around. Limp Bizkit style.
Yeah. Is good. This is good set. This is good set dressing.
Thank you.
I mean, I know it's just your house, but it does also quite conveniently make for good good video.
I've never shown this to the listeners and viewers at home, but this is my Raspberry Pi Cyberdeck. I think I talked about buying all the parts late last year.
Yep.
And put it together like December, January. It's fucking sick. It's got one of those real clicky little keyboards in there that I've Velcroed in.
Yes.
It's got a nice spiral coiled cord there. And it's got a bunch of legal games.
Because you own all of them.
I own hundreds
just
and hundreds.
out of frame over there, there's like a huge bookcase that's got all of these games physical media style.
But I just connect an Xbox controller to it, and it's got a little speaker out to a Bluetooth speaker there.
Oh, man.
It's got a LAN input, a mic input. It's got a bunch of USBs, and an HDMI out as well, which I can connect it to the TV.
Yeah.
I'm very proud of it. I want to make a video like going through it.
Yeah.
And I will soon.
You should make a reboxing where you dismantle it bit by bit and put it back into its original storage.
That would be a fucking nightmare because it was not easy to put together.
Yeah, and then you just wouldn't be able to use it anymore.
Yeah.
You would hope at least that the video went big enough to kind of, elevate you into the stratosphere of online superstardom.
That's true. And it would be a new format. I've never seen a reboxing before.
Reboxing video.
I'd be breaking new ground.
Hey guys, this brand sent me this stuff and it's kind of shit and I don't want it, so I'm going to come with me as I box it up and take it to the op shop.
Yeah.
That's good.
I will not be doing that. I'll just kind of run through all the parts and where I got them and stuff. But it's really cool. And you can close it up.
Yep.
It's a waterproof camera case is what the thing is.
Oh, yeah.
And it's fucking sick. I'll talk a bit more. I'll actually show it.
So next time there's one of those like, undersea expeditions to look at the wreckage of the Titanic.
Yes.
You could be down there keeping people entertained with a few rounds of biker mice from Mars on the.
I could be playing Echo the Dolphin. With a dolphin.
Yeah. Yeah, awesome.
Yeah. That's in frame. I got my Blood Meridian hat, which you commented on off air, Tommy.
Yep.
My NES games from Japan. Just a nice little nook.
Yeah. It is interesting that we're going. What?
Tom Nook.
Yeah, Tom Nook.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your Tom.
You charged me $10,000 to be in this house.
10,000 bells.
We are kind of going. We've across. Oh no, the video the last time we were in here didn't work. I was going to say we're giving people a sort of a slow kind of room by room tour. Yeah, which will play into something we're going to talk about in a little.
Oh yes, the audio from that episode was recorded over there.
Yep. Mario Kart World Direct tonight, Melbourne time. Yeah. It'll be happening a couple of hours after this goes up, so we'll be talking about that next week. 15 minutes, they've said, of new information about the game. Excited to learn a little bit more about what's going on there.
Yeah.
Potential other modes, online functionality. Is there some sort of... I'd love to find out that there's some kind of story mission mode kind of thing to the open world free roam.
Because was it the DS version or
DS had missions, right, which was cool.
Yeah, yes, and that was what, the Mario Kart 7 or 6?
7, 7 was the DS one.
Yeah. So it's been
it has been a while.
It's been a while. Yeah. But more in actual years.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I always, and again, like seeing, this is something I would have hoped they'd change, and from what I've seen of the little treehouse videos and just like also the hands-on stuff that people have had at the New York events
Yeah.
where they've captured screen footage from the Grand Prix. It doesn't look like they have changed this from Mario Kart 8, but maybe there'll be a bit more of this in the full game. I've always thought it's been such a shame that I think in the Super Nintendo version, there would be like a little kind of animation of your character like on the podium at the end of the Grand Prix, and there was like a big cheap that would like fly over you, and I think he like explodes and the trophy comes out of that or something.
Yeah.
I thought it's a bit of a shame that there's no kind of like there's no flavour to when you win the Grand Prix.
Right.
That you get like a kind of replay thing that's just kind of automatically generated.
Yeah.
Then there's just a screen. I've always thought it would have been nice if there was like some kind of little, I don't know, celebration, little few second video or some kind of mode to make you want to play through it with all the characters.
Yeah,
I'd love to see
right.
something like that come back. A
Like
little more of that character on the results screen.
Right. It's kind of like the end of like when you do like a fighting game all the way through
Yeah.
arcade mode, you get a little cinematic.
Right.
Tying up the story.
Yeah,
that'd
even
be,
just
that'd
in
be
a
cool.
game of Smash Brothers, like when you play, you'll have all the little characters have their like win and lose animations.
Yeah,
There's
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
not really anything like that in Mario Kart. You just get like a rotating thing of the cup.
Right.
And again, like a little replay thing, but that just feels, very like automatically generated, not like
for sure.
You want a little bit of flavor of, Wario next to his car being like
Yeah.
celebrating or...
Yeah, is it not? I feel like one of them, maybe the Wii one, had just the top three on a podium.
Yeah,
and it kind of
maybe.
swirled around, and maybe that it was 8 as well. But it was still just like, well, this is just the top three on a podium cheering.
Yeah.
But you're right, something more like individualized for playing through with like a specific character. That'd be cool.
But we'll find out in just a few short hours.
That's right. Something that did not take me a few short hours, and we'll see how much we can say about this game. Because fuck, it's a puzzle game.
It's a puzzle game.
It's easy to spoil.
I reckon let's not go full spoiler.
No,
I mean,
of course.
I'm incapable of doing that because I haven't finished it.
Yeah.
But I would say if you like a good puzzle game, if you liked your Animal Well, or you like these games that don't really hold your hand at all.
Yeah. Witness, Return of the Obra Dinn.
Yep.
Stuff sort of like that.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Play this game. Don't know anything
yeah.
about it going in. Don't even... I literally knew nothing about it. Someone, I think, had posted about it in our Discord like a month ago. And even having read that description, this was so different to what I was expecting. I was
interesting.
expecting it to be a much more of like a linear... in a mansion, solving a mystery, just walking around looking for clues. I didn't know that it had all these like other elements to it that are kind of what the hook of it is. So
yes. Definitely go in.
we're not going to fully spoil it, but it is.
I don't think we should. Yeah,
you also do kind of have to. We kind of do have to talk about some elements of it. And
we'll be as vague as possible.
Yeah.
But yeah, Blueprints. It is as far as it's there's like a reasonable development team, but it is created by. I think their name is Tonda Ross or Roz. They're the sort of creative force behind it. It is and I will say, even to the point of booting it up and hitting new game and it starting.
Yep.
I didn't know it was a first person game.
Oh right.
I kind of thought it was like
I knew that.
yeah.
Between us, we knew fuck all.
I thought it was like a top down game because the thing. Actually, no. Between us, we knew everything because I did know that there were random elements to the game.
Oh, sure. Okay.
I knew that there was a grid of, and I guess that's what I was pitching when I heard it described, like literally a grid that is 5x9, I believe. That is the square by square grid outline blueprint of a mansion.
Yep.
And I knew that every time you went through a door, you were given options of what blueprint to put down as the room you're going into.
Yes.
And it was random and you would get multiple options. And in the choosing of those options, you would make your way through that mansion.
Yep.
And I kind of thought maybe it would be, there would be like levels. Like, okay, you get through this one.
Oh, yeah.
Get to the end and then you're on the next floor or whatever. Because I was like, I kind of thought like, well, what's the sort of length in a game that is that simple?
Yeah.
And it's not simple
No.
at all, and it's not that even.
Yeah, so the setup is you're the descendant of this old guy,
Yep.
lives in a mansion. He's passed on. You are given this letter basically saying you will inherit the mansion if you can find the 46th room.
Yes.
So you go in and the layout of the mansion changes every day. That's the setup.
Yeah.
So how that manifests in the game is you're in this entrance hall.
Mm-hmm.
There's a door to your left, your right, and straight ahead. As you say, it's a 5x9 grid.
Yep.
Every time you walk through the door, you're getting an option of a type of room that you can put there, some of which will have different items in them,
Yep.
some of which will have effects, and all of which have like a different amount of doorways in or out. Some are dead ends,
Yep.
some might be a passageway, some might be four ways, some might be a little kind of curve.
Yep.
And so each time you're going into a new room, you are losing a step. You start the day with 45 steps.
Yes.
And once you've gotten to 0 steps, the day ends.
Yes.
You also can at any point look at the blueprint that you filled out so far and choose to call it a day.
Yes.
And then everything resets. The entire blueprint is reset.
Yep.
All of the items that you found reset.
Mm-hmm.
You can do things throughout your traveling to get yourself more steps.
Yes.
You can eat food that
Yep.
you find lying around.
Some of the rooms, it's like, well, every time you enter this room, you get an extra 2 steps.
Yes. And it basically just goes to you are trying to find, the 46th room.
Yep.
And that's all it tells you. And it doesn't really tell you anything else apart from that. So you kind of set off your first kind of couple of rooms you go into, you'll find like a bit of paper that might say that will explain how, drawing the rooms and how that works.
Right. There's, I think, one of the earlier rooms. And again, like, you can get any room, I think, basically at any point, depending on things that you've done to change that.
Right.
But I do believe that based on the rank you're on, because I think, and I'm not entirely sure how it works, but you'll start on rank 1, or a room will start on rank 1.
Yeah.
And then as you move forwards, rooms will be higher ranks, and then you overall will have a higher rank. I don't know what it...
Yeah.
It has something to do with...
Because there is a room that's like a thing will appear if you're at rank 8. And I've had the same thing where I kind of thought it was like maybe your rank is just... if you've like put in rooms that are of that rank, then you're at that rank, or maybe I kind of have a feeling that maybe it's like the further up you are, in terms of the grid.
I think that could be it. But so there is some kind of
that it doesn't explain to you.
No.
And it also at a certain point I went on to you hit a button to see your blueprint, and then that also brings up a list of the rooms that you've discovered over your playtime.
Yep.
So there's 8 different styles of bedroom, for example.
Right.
And it kind of doesn't tell you that it's logging that. So you're right, okay, maybe there's something in this, because in my first playthrough of it, you can sort of see up the top of the grid, there's just this room at the top of the 5x9.
Yes.
And
that's
so,
the only thing that's revealed on the blueprint.
Yeah.
From day 1, minute 1, if you open the blueprint map, there is this room called the antechamber.
Yeah. And so to start with, I went, oh, well, you've just got to snake your way up there, which is difficult enough in itself to do.
It's quite
because
difficult.
You're getting... So let's say you start at the left side, you've got two grids across to play with, and you're getting 3 options every time you walk through a door that are completely random.
Yes.
So you... my strategy, at least early on, is to just go for the most amount of entrances, exits.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you are getting to rooms. Sometimes there are rooms that you get given in the pool, in the drawer, that are that need gems.
Yes.
You are picking up gems around in various different rooms, and some rooms are like, they'll come up and they'll say, there's a gem in this room.
Yes.
And then the further up you get in the grid, you get to doors that are locked.
Yes.
So it's a bit of a combination early on of, okay, I want to give myself enough freedom to be able to like move around and snake my way up, but I also do need to be looking for getting a nice little bank of keys and gems, because so basically in my playing it so far, it's quite rare that I'm tapping out because I'm running out of steps. It's
Oh, yeah.
more like I've run into too many dead ends.
Yes.
I've cut myself off from just like the options of like, that are available to me,
Mm-hmm.
or I've hit dead ends where they're locked doors and I don't have any keys or any gems to like.
And there's no further ways to acquire that
And
currency
you,
because of
you
the
just
other
get to a
rooms
point
that
where
there
you're
are,
like,
yeah.
okay, I've hit an actual dead end here. There's nowhere more for me to go. I have to completely reset.
And that does frustratingly still happen. Like even when you get a lot of things to help you on your way. So I've finished the game to the point of like I've gotten to room 46 and the credits have rolled. There's obviously a lot more to go in terms of puzzles and mysteries and things
Right.
to uncover.
Right.
And on the way to getting equipped enough with knowledge largely, but also with some permanent bonuses and things like
Sure.
that.
Because
You
just
can
to-
still run into a dead end.
Yes,
Which
because
is kind of
it's
frustrating.
so that starting it, I went, okay, I got to snake my way up, which is it is enough of a challenge in and of itself.
Totally.
Then you get to that room, and it's kind of locked off.
Mm-hmm.
You've reached it on the grid on the map, but there's
no way to get in.
There's nothing there. There's nothing telling you how to get in,
Mm-hmm.
and then that's kind of when the game properly begins.
Yeah.
And properly begins in a way where it hasn't said anything to you about, hey, this is what you're actually trying to do. Maybe look around for this, or this is how to open the door. You just are now... It reminds me a lot of Animal Well in that real game of... I think we said this at the time, feeling like an old game that you would find back in the day that you didn't have the instruction manual for.
Right.
And you really had to piece it together yourself. And also very similar to Animal Well, a lot of stuff that when you're first playing through it seems like it is just kind of set dressing. Like there's all these paintings on the wall. Okay, they're kind of random. And then it was only like a couple of runs ago that I was like, oh, hang on. And you
Yeah.
start to put together.
And so...
Wait, fuck. Everything here is telling me something.
Yeah.
Nothing is just completely incidental.
Which I did not pick up on the paintings. Like I knew that they were odd,
Yeah.
but then gave them zero thought until you mentioned it. And by that point, I had been playing for like 15 to 20 hours.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay. And so I did. I've got my little notebook here. You can see I've been mapping out the grid with letters that I've deduced from these paintings. And then I figured out what the message was, and I was like, oh, I already figured that out just by doing other stuff.
Sure, right.
But it obviously, yes, you're right. Everything pretty much is some sort of clue or puzzle, save like a few minor bits of like, props and stuff.
Yeah, because very early on, the first types of rooms that you unlock are a parlor that has a little puzzle in it that is 3 boxes that all have statements on them, and there's a bit of paper there saying at least one of them is true, at least one of them is false, and one of them will have gems inside it.
Yes.
And so you get it. These little logic puzzles of like, you having to deduce which one is the lie, which one is true, and which one.
Yeah,
so 2 of them could be true, 2 of them could be lies, but having to kind of do that. And they're satisfying to get. They take a little bit of thought, and again, they change every day.
Yes.
Like the puzzle in there changes every day. And then you get another one that is a billiard room.
Yes.
That's got a dartboard on it that is like a maths puzzle.
Yes.
And again, the puzzle of it. It's not like you just, once you have the solution, then you can breeze through it every day.
No.
The puzzle itself is different every day and it's, again, a little bit of work, but it's not beating your head up against the wall. And it does this really nice thing of you get them early on in the game.
Yep.
You discover them and it gives you this nice little gimme in your early runs and in the early stages of learning the game that are relatively simple to get where you're like, it's a smart thing because it gives you a bit of like, it doesn't just throw you into this like unsolvable mystery straight away. It gives you these little breadcrumbs where you're like, you feel really smart, and then pretty quickly it's like, actually, you're the dumbest cunt who's ever lived.
Well, the thing about those is every time you solve one, the next time you come across it, it's harder.
Yeah.
So the dartboard, I'm not fantastic at maths.
Yeah.
Fucking hell. Square roots and shit.
Yeah, okay.
Because I finished it in, I think, a pretty long time compared to a lot of people. I took 53 or 4 days.
Yeah, wow.
I know a few people have done it in like 3 days, like insane, speed run geniuses. Sure. But like, I think average is maybe 25, 30-ish. And I did, like I said, I was exploring things that turned out to I've already figured out, or it's not actually relevant to the goal of finding room 46.
Sure.
But still, like, awesome and rewarding and interesting.
Because, yeah, my thinking after reaching the room, where the room is and not being able to get in, then my thinking was, I guess you have to have maybe, like, filled out the entire grid.
Right.
So you've got to get a run where you do that to open the room up. And so I've been focusing mostly, which is just a good thing to do anyway, because you're maximizing the amount of items and everything that you're getting out of the run. But then in doing so, discovering different types of rooms, some of which have things that are like semi-permanent or kind of hint at other things that are going on.
Right.
And so then that's starting to reveal like, oh, okay, I guess there is like a whole extra layer to this.
Absolutely.
And you find a room that is like, has a little terminal in it that sort of by itself seems kind of meaningless.
Right.
And then you find other rooms that have other things that interact with that mean that now, okay, so on a run I've got to make sure I get this room, and I've also got to make sure that as soon as I can, I get that other room. But that other room is one of those dead end rooms. So sometimes it comes up in the middle of a run where you're making your way through the grid and you've got all this open space around you and you're like, guess I'm sacrificing like a big chunk of the map here and putting a lot of pressure on myself to be able to snake around in another way.
Yeah.
If I do this now, but I kind of do need to do it.
Yeah. And then, so the colors of the rooms mean something.
Yeah.
And again, the game doesn't tell you that until you pick up a piece of paper that tells you what they mean.
I kind of I'd sort of started to notice they sort of start talking about like, the colors of rooms, and I'm like, oh yeah, I guess they are all kind of grouped, and then realizing there's something to do with the game being called Blueprints, and then there's like there's a book that you find that is like, that kind of made me go, that kind of refers a bit to like your character and who the character that you're playing as is. And then I realized like, all the red rooms are like, have these negative effects.
Yeah.
Which I was like, okay, interesting. Interesting.
But that next level after you figure out like, I need to actually unlock this room, that in itself is really complicated.
Right.
And it depends a lot on... And so this is the other thing that we haven't mentioned yet. You got to be writing shit down.
Yeah.
You got to be taking screenshots.
I haven't been doing it. It does say to you... It says to you early on, hey, have a little piece of paper next to you. And I was like, in bed, I'm like, I'm not fucking doing that.
Yeah.
And I've been playing it on the Steam Deck, like lying on the couch and in bed. And I'm like, I've got to have a session where I'm just like... I'm locked in.
I have like 50 screenshots.
Yeah.
Like it really is, it's so crucial. I'm just trying to think of, I guess Animal Well was something where it helps to sort of remind yourself like, that's right, I got to go back over here because this thing is here, and you'd like literally write it down.
Yep.
There was a few other puzzle games that have come along where it's like, it's going to benefit you a lot to physically write stuff down to refer to later. And this is, I think, unsolvable without doing that.
It's definitely
really crucial.
Once I figured out that the paintings are telling you something,
right?
And at first I thought, maybe it's like in the order that they've come up in the rooms that you've unlocked. So I kind of retraced my step and was just like, writing in my phone like the letters in order. And I was like, this is just garbage. And just going like, I am gonna have to do what you did. Draw out the grid and write the letter and Jesus Christ.
But there's something else that I mentioned to you, and like, I felt so smart for figuring this out, and it's really obvious, and it's something that I told you about that you hadn't realized either. And skip forward 30 seconds.
I reckon from this, let's start to get maybe a little more specific. If you're this far in,
Yeah, okay.
because again,
here's the
it's
second jumping off point.
It's hard to talk about without getting. You know what I mean? It's frustrating to talk about without being able to get like a little specific about some of this stuff.
Yeah. So again, if you played some of it and you wanted to listen to a bit more without spoilers, thank you for getting to this point. I guess we'll have to time code because we might talk about some more stuff after this game. But and I won't. Yeah, it's more. These are more like these are not puzzles. These are just like hints and tips and
I don't
things.
think this ruins it to know because, again, it does feel probably not to the extent of Animal Well, but it is exciting to be early on with this and be talking to people about it.
Yeah.
And be hearing discussions about it. It's like that's part of it. It is meant to be like... I don't think it's necessarily meant to be... I mean, you can just sort of do it in isolation, of course, but like even just seeing in the Discord people be like... Oh, I found this thing and now I can do this. And like, when you told me this, I didn't feel like, oh, you've spoiled that to me. I was like, oh, you motherfucker. Because what you said was, have you gone outside yet?
Yeah.
Because of course the game, each run starts with this like kind of tracking shot of like, going in through the doorway.
Yes.
And your first like POV that you see is just left, forward, right in this entrance hall. And of course, there was an entranceway behind you.
Yeah.
So you can turn around and go outside the mansion. And at the point that I'm doing that, there's nothing out there for me yet.
Yeah.
There's no. I was like, oh fuck, okay, this would be a game changer. And I went out and looked around, and I'm like, oh, there's just a whole bunch of stuff that I'm unable to get to at this point. Yeah. So I didn't feel like this great. Oh, I've leapfrogged all this stuff.
No.
But. Yeah, I for me, again, like the satisfaction of just you saying that to me and then that being the thing that makes me realize is as satisfying in a game like this as it is to just kind of stumble across it yourself randomly.
Yeah, and I think...
What made you... was that just something where it just dawned on you? Or
I think I had got a bunch of dead ends and was like, I've still got like 20 steps left. I guess I can go out the front door.
Yeah.
And then being like, oh, there's a bunch of like stuff out here.
Yeah.
Like you find that I can't access, but I can see some stuff.
And also, then you're going like, okay, there's a little padlock on there. It is.
Yes.
It's funny that you find one of the things is like a fence with a padlock on it. Mm-hmm. So you're like, okay, well, I need to find the combination for that padlock. But But like the fence that it's on is at like shin height. Yeah. It's just like, you can't jump over, cunt.
Yeah, there's no jumping in the game. Yeah. There's no like, you literally can just walk or run and click stuff.
Yep.
And so it's like, well, okay, those are the mechanics of this game. But the thing that like is still kind of, it's a really integral part of this game is not taking everything at face value because, you know, when you do start up the game for the very first time and you're in the entrance hall and it's like press tab to view the map.
Yep.
And the map just shows you the house.
Yep.
It just shows, even when you're outside, you know,
there's no map for outside.
There's no map for outside. The game initially is just like, well, I'm sure you'd assume that the game is just this grid and making your way through this grid, and then it's just like a tiny bit, like not even a lot of lateral thinking, just like, well, maybe I could go outside the house is like this thing that you're like constantly having that feeling throughout the game where it's like, oh, I didn't even think of that, but now that I have, it's going to change the way I approach a lot of stuff. Maybe not immediately, and you still are like having to sort of battle against the randomness, but it adds that extra layer of like, oh, well, now I'm going to start looking out for these other things.
Yeah, and also like early on, you learn, oh, okay, there'll be keys on some tables, there'll be gems on some tables, there'll be little coins on some tables.
Yes.
And it was like maybe the third run or something that I was like in this courtyard. Because it's not like you walk into a room and things will light up to say, hey, you can pick this up. Just all of a sudden, I was just kind of like looking around and the little kind of dot in the middle of the screen just kind of changes slightly.
Yes.
And I'm like, oh, I can pick up this shovel.
Yeah.
Like even that, it doesn't tell you like, hey, look around for other things that you can find, or you don't like walk into a room and be like, now this room contains this kind of item. There's an item shop that you find or you can find.
Yeah.
But then also there are things just like lying around, like the thing where it will kind of tell you like what effect a room that you're drafting has. Like it might say, you gain 10 steps by going in here, or once you have this room, green rooms are more likely to show up in the pool. But then there's like I found a little there was like a room that I'd made that was just basically, I think I don't even know if it necessarily had any effect on it, but there was like a little fortune teller guy in there.
Oh, yeah.
That you just...
Oh, that's a good room.
That you sort of see him and you're like, oh yeah, again, it's just set dressing, and then walking past and being like, oh, hang on, the little things, oh, I can do something with this.
Yeah.
And it's not like it says, hey, put a coin in me, or it's not like when you draft the room, it goes, hey, it has this in it.
Yeah.
And so then, and also too, there's like a thing that you find that will tell you how many items are in the house that you've built so far that you haven't found. And again, sometimes you'll go on there and it's like, hey, yeah, there's like 3 of these left, and you're like, fuck, what?
Yeah.
And you feel like you've been thorough and you've looked around everywhere, but it's like, even the rooms that don't have any effects necessarily tied to them, there may well still be like something.
Yeah, a little key on the ground.
Something hidden in there, a little,
Yeah. What else was I going to say?
Which does start to drive you a bit insane. Because you're like, this type of room, I feel like every time I've been through it, there's never been anything in there, but you never want to take it for granted and go like, oh, I'll just breeze through.
Totally. And then, yes, like you say, there are rooms that absolutely tell you, like, this will have an effect while interacting with this other room or this type of room. But there will be some that don't tell you and are like really, like, they're crucial to exploring the mystery, and they're crucial to puzzles and stuff.
Yeah.
So again, it's just, you're right. You just have to try everything in every room.
Yeah. And because a lot of the time too, I'm so like, for a long time swayed by, okay, well these are my 3 options, and I'd rather have this one because it's directionally suits me, or it's got a key or a gem in it, or whatever it is. But then more and more, the more I'm playing it, I'm like, I'm just going to pick that one because I've never used it before.
Yeah,
or
yes.
I've never seen it come up, or I've never used it.
I think,
and you start to feel like, I think this is part of what I'm meant to be doing, is in some way cycling through all of them, seeing all of them, because even ones that seem like in their descriptions like they're kind of nothing and they don't give you the like the navigational qualities that you need, you pick one of them and you're like, oh, it's got all this other shit in it that is really helpful.
Totally, absolutely. I think that one of the big like tips that I maybe saw in a review or like somewhere was just like, every time you get the opportunity to draft a room you've never seen before, just do it.
Yeah.
Because you could, like I said, it took me 50-something days. There are a lot of days where all I did was go in, make a bunch of rooms that I'd never seen before, hit a dead end, but learn crucial information.
I think you
for the
reach a
next
point
day.
where, for me at the moment, I was having the strategy of trying to like fill the whole thing in.
Yeah.
And then realistically, it's like, I don't feel like it's possible for me to beat the game in this way anyway.
Right.
So I may as well just go in and have a bunch of runs where I'm like, I end up drafting 6 rooms that are all dead ends that give me like some new...
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so, like it especially at the start, while like you say, the sort of bottom few rows, you generally get pretty helpful or benign rooms.
Yep. Yeah, there's like a similar sort of flow to the first couple of rows. You'll get like the den, maybe the billiard room, the parlor,
spare room, corridors.
Nook.
It is still pretty tough to progress because you have like a limited amount of steps. The ways that you can increase those steps, like there are some that are in that early sort of section, but you actually get heaps more later on after you've had to go through like heaps of stuff to get there. Like there are ways to like boost your steps and stuff that are like, well, you can only do that if you have heaps of gold that you've got from doing this thing, like.
It's funny, like the gold you are coming early on, you come across so infrequently.
Yeah.
And then you find a store where it's like these items need like 20 coins and you're like, fuck, I feel like I'm lucky if I get 3 in a run.
Absolutely.
And then often I'm drawing the chapel a lot.
Yeah,
which is good
yeah.
because it's got
got-
3 doorways.
Yeah.
But it takes a coin from you every time you go through it.
Yeah.
So like, especially then once you're backtracking, you're like, well, yeah, okay.
Yeah. And it can feel frustrating when you're early on because of that. Like there are these myriad ways to slow you down, remove
Yep.
your items, give you dead ends.
Because also we should say, once you've decided to go through a door and you get your options, you have to pick one of them.
Yeah, yes.
Which is so frustrating, but it's like, it's smart because it just means, and again, instinctively, sometimes it comes up and I'm like, oh, well, I want that one that needs a gem.
Yes.
That's the only one that's going to serve me, but I don't have a gem.
Yes.
Fuck it, I'll go off and look for some gems.
Nah.
You have to pick something.
And so, yeah, part of that is like I would... Because a lot of the actual currency of the game is the knowledge that you build up.
Right.
And so there will also be a point where you figured out a bunch of stuff and you're like, well, I know that I need this room and I need this item and I need it in this order and I need to go up there.
Yep.
But then the issue will be if I open this door and the only room that leads north has a gem requirement.
Yep.
And I don't have any gems, my whole run is ruined.
It's fun when like you start on one side and you're making your way up and you've got like you've had a really good run, you got a good little bank of stuff. Mm-hmm. You know, you're getting up that kind of west side.
Yeah, yeah.
And you know, the walls start to close in around you a little bit and you sort of start to feel like you're fucked, and then you're like, oh, hang on, I've still got the straight ahead door and you know what I mean? You're like, I've got a whole other like 2/3 of the grid at my disposal. So if I burn out on this side, then I'm just like stuck. And again, the further up you get, the more likely you are to find doors that are locked and all these kinds of other various things. And so that starts to sort of really impede you. And it is very satisfying to be like, hey, I can just go all the way back down to the bottom, start again. I've got all this clear space and the run down the bottom is like a lot easier. You get these gimmies early on.
Yeah.
So that was a good strategy that you put me onto of like, once you start getting further, you're like, don't open it unless you're like, because you can also find a dice as an item, which allows you to get another crack at so like going up and having like, just as many keys as you need, as many gems as you need, and a dice. You're like, okay, whatever happens up here, I'm set.
Yeah. So the dice, you can re-roll the 3 plans that get generated.
Yep.
But it's a usable,
perishable.
It's a perishable item.
Yeah.
Yes. And you can find more of them and all of that stuff. So, I will say, when you really get cooking, and I'm talking spend 12 hours of one day playing it, and really get closer and closer to the objective, so on my...
The randomness of it becomes frustrating?
No.
Oh, okay.
Quite the opposite. There is a middle period where the randomness is frustrating.
Yeah, that's kind of...
Where you have like enough information to know what you think you need to do.
That's kind of what I've been wondering about, that is so interesting to the format of it, where it does have this element that is kind of like a rogue-like, where it's asking you to also do this set objective. It's not just like, hey, this is a fun infinite game where... See how far up the grid you can get.
Yep.
And at a certain point you get, you might find some stuff that you can carry over, but it's constantly resetting and everything's kind of random in it. But also having a thing that you're trying to do. It's so interesting because I don't know if I've really seen too many things where those two ideas live side by side. Like Animal Well had all the mysteries, but it was like you were in complete control the entire time. It had challenges, but there was no element to it where it was like, hey, tough luck. You got the nook.
Yeah. But... in the last few runs, so like my final run where I hit credits and, finished the story.
Yep.
I had like 56 steps left.
Right.
I had like 20, maybe 30 plus gold. I had 10 plus gems. I had 10 keys left over.
Right.
I ended up getting to the door and to like an unlocked door of the antechamber.
Yep.
And I was like, I'm just going to go around because I unlocked the other door as well. I'm just going to do another couple rooms just to see what they've got in them.
Yeah.
You know, you're just like fucking with it. And I almost was like, well, if the game crashes before I just walk through that door, I'll be spewing. But by a certain point, it does have that feeling of just a general game where you feel more powerful the more you play, the more you like level up in another kind of game.
Once you knew what you had to do, how difficult was that to execute? Was that like...
It was still difficult.
Yeah, okay.
I did still get fucked a couple of times by randomness.
By the randomness, yeah. Okay, sure.
So like but in the end, I got kissed on the dick by randomness because I had these few things that combining together meant like I was constantly finding things to dig up. I think like I had something where it was like green rooms will have more dig spots in them.
Oh, yeah.
And then one of the green rooms has a thing where it's like you will find more items in green rooms.
Yep.
So I found a shovel.
Yeah.
Which again, I've had times where I've got those like things working in tandem and never found a shovel.
Yeah, I feel like there's a couple of systems in there that I'm like kind of hesitant to use because like, so for example, there's a coat check. There's a room where you can leave an item there and then get it back the next day. Mm-hmm. But I've never used that because I feel like, well, that's also then so dependent on me getting the coat check.
Yep.
Not only getting the coat check in the next run, but getting it at a point that I don't want to cut myself off from the rest of the run.
Yeah.
So I've sort of never...
And you may not need that item the next day.
Exactly.
It may be more crucial on the day
I've
that you
always
have
just kind of left it up to more chance of just like, hey, hopefully I find the shovel when I need it. Like, yeah.
And there are doors that have a special kind of lock that I'm trying to be vague now. You can disable that lock or you can just find something that lets you through that lock. So sometimes you might find the thing that lets you through those doors, in which case that's great. Sometimes you might not, and so you might need to draft this extra room. That means you can disable the locks, and it again in the end, the most beneficial, permutation of that happened to be on the last day where I got everything.
Yeah,
and it all worked in tandem, and I was in green rooms digging up shit left, right, and center, and it was like, I've got fucking 15 keys.
Yeah,
I've got a bunch of gems because of like...
It is a good feeling, but especially early on, you have a run where you're like, you've got 3 or 4 keys and 3 or 4 gems, and at that in an early stage, you feel invincible.
Yes,
but then they can just disappear so quickly.
Absolutely,
because especially once you get into the top end, you hit more locked doors.
Yeah,
you hit more rooms where you're like, oh, it's really beneficial for me to have this room that costs 2 gems.
Right.
You'll sometimes get a thing that trunks will show up. There's I forget what it is, but there's a thing that deposits 2 trunks into the 2 item boxes into the entrance hall.
Yep.
So you go back around and that's 2 of the keys. You can so quickly go from feeling like you're just unbeatable to, oh, now I've just completely reset and I'm back at square one.
And there's so much more to the game as well. We've really only been talking about sort of the functional aspects of rooms and things.
Yeah, there's a lot of bits of pieces that you find of like newspaper clippings and staff memos. And I mean, the paintings thing is such a cool puzzle where like and again, this is relatively early on, but every room will have 2.
Yeah.
2 kind of just random, pictures of things.
Yeah.
And then in the commissary, there's the 2 of them, and it's got a thing where it's like with above one of them and without above the other. And I was like, and I looked at it like, oh, that word minus the letters in that word. Okay, that's that letter. All right.
Yeah.
And then it was like another couple of runs where I was like, oh, hang on. Every room has an equivalent of that.
Yeah.
Every room has an equivalent of like a word minus another word. So like it's almost this kind of weird thing where it felt hypnotic.
Yeah.
Like it felt like it had just washed over me and it doesn't tell you that overtly that like, hey, every room has some equivalent of this.
Right.
You just kind of all of a sudden go, oh, I've been ignoring these, but stylistically they are the same as that other thing. Mm-hmm. Oh, and it does the same thing. And then you go through all the back other ones and it's like, oh, fuck, all of them have that.
Yeah.
And it felt so satisfying not even in a way of like, oh, I solved it. More just like
I realize
I'm
what the puzzle
immersed
is.
and this like washed over me.
Yeah.
And so that's the thing that also again makes you realize like, oh, these little bits of like newspaper clippings and these little memos and stuff that I've been reading that I've just been like, yeah, cool. Payday's on Friday. Who gives a fuck? Oh, neat. Oh, neat. A little bit of backstory about like how the staff kind of all function here, and then going like, yeah, okay. Everything's got something to say.
There's a room that shows you that has a calendar, and it shows you like what date day one is.
Yeah,
and like that ends up being like important. Like everything, pretty much plays into something else. There's, I think, some things that are just story based or like environmental storytelling, but if there's something like written down, it's probably relevant to something.
Because then there's a room that has a book that you find that's been cataloging all of the things that you found. So it'll have like all those little like postcards and newspaper clippings you've picked up are kind of catalogued in there, and then you can kind of see like all the little blank spaces of things that you haven't uncovered yet. And it doesn't tell you any. It's more like what would be in an options menu, like a record section of just like how many rooms you've drafted, how many steps you've taken total and all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
But it also does have this catalogue of just kind of showing you, I guess, like what percentage of all this stuff you've uncovered. But then, you know, in a broader sense, like there's no indicator of how far along you are.
Right.
Like there's no marking of progress of like you're this far along.
No.
You've got this many more like rooms to find in order to get to the thing. It is just like, hey, the next run could be the one where I do it for all I know.
Yeah.
Or I could be playing for another 25 hours.
And I believe that not everything, while it may be relevant in some way, it's not all relevant to solving the actual, like the main puzzle of the game.
Right.
So like sometimes it can be beneficial and it can be a little bonus thing or it can be whatever. But I also think like you could beat this in like 1 8-hour session.
Right.
If you got lucky and have a really fucking observant and analytical mind.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to know, like, now that you know what's going on and how to do it, like how quickly you could do a run.
Yeah.
Which, again, luck plays into it, but knowing exactly the things to hit early on.
Yeah. And that was the thing. Like, I did get to a point, like, I probably had 4 days where I was like, I have all the information and I have done all the required setup to finish the game.
Yep.
And yet, good old Lady Luck intervenes.
Yeah.
But fuck, it is one of the best puzzle games I've ever played for sure.
Yeah, it's incredible.
It's up
because
it's got to be up there for this year.
It has those waves too of just like you lock in and you go, okay, here's what I'm doing. Get these random drafts of rooms. There's some sort of weird shit around, and I don't know. Eventually, I'll find the room that's got the key to the door at the end, or I'll, and then you have maybe 1 or 2 runs where you uncover that other layer, and you're like, oh, okay, and it really unlocks the game for you.
Yep.
And then you just kind of you want to keep having that feeling.
Yeah.
Because it does feel like there's also a certain level of like you do need to have done. There is sort of a requirement to have done a number of days too. Like it is kind of drip feeding stuff to you. But then, you hit a wall where you just are doing the same thing for 5 runs in a row.
Yeah.
Where you're not getting that little, and then all of a sudden, like I had the last one I did before I went to bed last night. Like I did a new room for the first time. Like there's a room that is like... Because that's the other thing is like all of the rooms have different levels of rarity.
Yes.
So there's a room that is its ability is the rooms that you draft off of it are more likely to be really rare.
Yeah.
And so that came up, and I was like, again, a classic thing of like, it's geographically not really what I'm looking for, but I'm going to do that because I'm starting to feel like I've just had too many of sort of the same run over and over again.
Right.
And so you do that. And then even that room has some stuff in it that's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
And then the rooms off of that are like, oh, cool. This is really peeling off another layer of
Yeah.
the onion.
Yeah.
And so, you go through these waves where you have these incredibly satisfying runs where you're like, fuck, we are on here.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next 4 that you do are just dog shit,
Yeah.
beating your head up against the wall where you're like, give me the next thing, give
Yeah.
me the next level.
And like that is kind of the beauty of it is it doesn't punish you for calling it a day.
Yeah.
Like there is nothing about even if you're just like, oh, I actually have to stop this run early on because I'm going out for dinner.
Yep.
It's like, just call it a day. You come back tomorrow. It's not like you're losing. Like there are
Yeah.
games where
The roguelikes generally, right? It's like I've gotten further than I've ever gotten.
Yeah.
Because again, you start to feel like early on with this, like just getting up the top of the map this isn't going to be the run where I finally do it.
Right.
I don't have the information yet. I
Right.
don't know what I'm doing. I've learned now that I'm not going to randomly stumble across the thing that unlocks the antechamber
Right.
and then be able to action it immediately.
Right.
It's going to take, even if I have an ultimate run where I find out something brand new, I'm still going to need another couple after that.
Right.
So you're totally right. It's not like, oh, I can't pause this now. I'm in the middle of like an absolute high score where
Yeah.
it's not like Billionaire where you're like, no,
Right.
this is the best run I've ever had.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
want to give this up. It's like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I fucked it. Okay, and it's like, it's fun starting from scratch too. A lot of
Yeah,
games
yeah.
like this, it's like, Billionaire is a good example where it's like, the early bit, kind of like the building up
Yeah.
it starts to get a little like, I wish I could just kind of fast forward into the bit where it's just mayhem.
Yeah.
This is really like, the thrill of possibility and...
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Like every successive run has the potential to be better than the last one.
Yep.
Just based on pure randomness. It could be awesome, but if it's shit, it doesn't matter.
Yep.
Because you can just call it a day.
Yep.
So yeah, I love it. I was saying this to Greg Larson, who we had on Video Drone this week, and we talked about The Last of Us, and we'll be doing that ongoing with Geggy.
Yep.
But off air, I was talking to him about Blueprints, and talking about the fact that what was I going to say? What were we just talking
They're
about?
starting a new run and the possibilities and...
I think I've lost it.
Damn.
Talking about the new possibilities of starting a run.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck.
The Last of Us.
Oh,
Geggy wants a
Geggy.
fucking eggy.
I don't remember.
Okay.
But it was really good.
Not like having to worry about bailing out of a run.
Yeah, something like that. Fuck my ass. It'll come back to
Anyway, it's fucking great.
me. It's a great game.
There's so much to say about it. The style is great. Like, it's so simple and elegant. Like, I don't know. I do like when this format of game that harkens back to an era of like really old kind of PC style stuff.
Yeah,
where
yeah.
you didn't get a tutorial, you didn't get force fed anything. I do think it is neat when they kind of look like they're in the style of the time.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
at the same time, that is such an overdone style that like this is like there's little bits of character design, but it's all environment. It's kind of cell shaded. It's really nice and clean. It's kind of weirdly, like we were saying, readable in the way that you walk in and you can see every room has so much personality, but also kind of subtle in the way of you're like, oh yeah, I can pick up the shovel.
Yeah.
It's an item.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have clocked that.
Yeah, and I think because of the way it had been described and the mechanics and everything, that's probably why I pictured it as like a 2D
Right.
pixel graphic, like a Loop Hero, roguelike in that sense. But yeah, it does the job, and like you say, everything is clear enough that anything could be interactable
Yeah.
or not. And
Yeah.
so that's just part of, being observant. I think the thing I was going to say with regards to the game and the stuff that I was saying with Greg was that it's so rewarding to play a game that is smarter than you.
Yeah.
That the sort of thrill of discovery is you being like, I am getting to come to grips with this work of art by someone who is a fucking genius.
Yeah.
And like, it doesn't always make me feel intelligent because there is so much randomness involved, but you just have the surety that this has been made by a very, very smart person who knows exactly what they're doing.
Yep.
And probably if you can't figure out the game, then that's that's on you. Like, and it's
And
not,
and it
it's
is-
not like
but it doesn't. I don't know. It kind of does make you feel dumb, but also like it's operating at such a high level that it's like that's kind of everyone's experience with it. That's the
Yeah,
experience that
yes.
you're meant to have with it.
Yes.
and it is like. I mean, yeah, I love playing something that it's like it's so challenging, but not in a mechanical way. It's challenging,
Yeah,
but it's
yeah.
also simultaneously relaxing. It's like such
Yeah,
an easy one to
yeah.
play for a whole day or like well into an evening because you're not getting into this like intense, button mashing bullshit of like
Right.
Elden Ring or like really having to be on your game and really getting the heart rate up. It's like, yeah, you can let it wash over you, and it's like, in a lot of ways, just as challenging, if not more so, than a lot of mechanically hand-eye coordination focused games.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think it probably, if you really just keep playing it, I think that it gives you everything you need to figure it out.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
a game like you could really, really cop a bad run of luck.
Yeah.
And maybe that would be enough to hinder your progress to the point of like just not being able to actually have the information to do the game.
Right, and even like you're saying, I'm bad with maths as well, and as those bits kind of crank up in terms of difficulty, you can get the calculator out
Yeah.
on the phone.
Yeah.
Like that doesn't feel like cheating. It's like
Yeah.
once you figured out what those little symbols are, and it
Yes,
is an early room, it
exactly.
is meant to just be like, yeah, there you go, get the gem, it's there. Even the box with the riddles on it. Mm-hmm. It's like you've got a 1 in 3 chance.
Yeah.
Even if they do get incredibly
Yes.
difficult, like
Yes. But yeah, I feel like if you are of sound mind and you commit to being observant of everything that the game is showing you, then you can solve this game.
yep.
Which is great. Like I love that about it.
Yeah.
Sure, you could say the same thing about something like The Witness, where it's like you just have to figure out the puzzle. But I feel like this one, if you keep, like you say, drafting those new rooms, even if it might mean you have to call it a day, you will get all these little bits of information. And if you are collecting them,
Yeah.
and you are looking back at them, or you're remembering them somehow, if you're a freak,
I feel with something like The Witness, there's like bits where I would hit a wall with them where I'm like, I just simply don't know what to do with this puzzle.
Right.
Whereas this is very much like, even if you don't know what's going on, even if all the game was, it was just to like, hey, see how close you can get to
Right.
filling out the entire grid. Just that is fun.
Yeah,
Like
yes.
The Witness, you do hit a point where you're like just looking at a thing and you're going, I just don't know what to do.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I'm just walking around in circles. I'm getting frustrated. I don't know. This is like, you still are always having a little gameplay loop to
Mm-hmm.
interact with, even if you haven't solved the broader puzzle of what you're doing.
Right.
Just the like the dopamine hit of the roll of the dice of,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
got that room I really wanted, and like, fuck, look at this. This entire left side of the grid is all completely filled out.
Totally.
I haven't wasted any rooms there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even if all you do is interact with that for 15, 20 goes of it,
Right.
there still is something kind of fun in that.
Yeah, and at the end of every run, when you call it a day, it'll show you the house that you've built. You know, like
right. That's the thing I was going to say before. It's like based on the sort of the split of like ratio of types of rooms that you've built.
Mm-hmm.
It'll go like the red hotel or whatever.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
they'll be
yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh, this room's got more bedrooms than normal, so therefore
Yeah.
it's like you've got a lot of pools in there, so it's a
Yeah.
That's kind of a neat touch. Where
Yeah.
I'm like,
I remember
and again, I'm like, does that
mean something?
Mean something? Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't think that it does. It just is like, yeah, you can just dive in, make a bunch of rooms,
Right.
Collect a bunch of stuff, see a bunch of clues, and then be like, okay, well, I'll call it a day, and then you get to see this cool like illustrated representation. Like I got one that was like stately manner of games because I had like
right.
a couple of billiard rooms and then like another and it just is a cool representation. It shows
Yeah.
you like how many steps you took that day.
Yep.
And like a few
The
little factors.
number of like new rooms you've
Yeah.
built. I wonder if they'll do like a sort of Inscription style kind of endless mode where they strip
Yeah.
out the mystery and the puzzle, and it's just like,
Yeah.
here's a grid, it's score based.
Yeah,
sort of
yeah.
an endless mode. If they, like with a couple of tweaks, could be really cool.
Yes. Oh, one thing I know I've seen people bringing up a lot, and fair enough, is that it is so dependent on color that they don't have a colorblind accessibility mode
Yeah,
yet.
okay, interesting.
Which is a real shame. And like I've heard of, reviewers having to just tap out because they,
yeah, interesting.
I'm pretty sure it in the actual game menu, it says like, we're working on this.
Yeah.
We're sorry. But because it's so color based, I think it would be really hard to make a colorblind mode.
Yeah,
it's like
I wonder how you do
there's so
it. Or
many
you just have to
clues
have
that
like
are-
text around. Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
shame. It's like it's kind of good that they're thinking about it, but at the same time, that is like accessibility stuff in games is such a I don't know. It feels like it does kind of have to be there day one. This is the
Yeah.
issue, right? Like putting it in as an update. What you're saying to people is you're an other. Like you're not able to interact with this day one
Yeah.
like everyone else. You have to be in a separate group that gets to play it at a different point in time.
that is deprioritized.
That is deprioritized, yeah. So like, and I mean, I don't know. It's obviously, bigger games launch and they've got all that stuff day one. They also do have more resources and a bigger
Yes.
team and everything to build
Yeah.
it in, but it does just kind of feel like, launching day one without like, oh, sorry, it doesn't support the controller yet. You can only
Right.
use the keyboard. It just does kind
Right,
of feel like
right.
one of those things like, if you're going to say that the game is like, hey, there just is no way to make the game without it, then
Right.
that's one thing.
Yeah.
I think that would still be harsh and people would respond poorly, but if you're thinking about it and you're thinking like you're going to put it in, at this point in time, it kind of does feel like it has to be in there day one.
Yeah, I can only assume that it is a simple fact of budget. They literally didn't have the money, and now
Yeah.
that the game's selling, they will be able to fund that.
Well, also too,
Part of
it's
the
like, so
project.
it's on Game Pass
Yeah,
and it's on Steam and that's it for now. So,
it's on. I think it was the PS Plus game.
oh, is it?
I think
oh,
so.
Right,
Yeah.
okay, I didn't realize that.
Yeah. I know people have definitely
Yeah,
been
right.
playing it
okay.
on PlayStation. Yeah.
I was going to say, I know it's not on Switch, so I was going to say,
Oh, sure.
maybe it's only PC for now, and then once it's on everything, it'll have those modes, as it gets brought up. But yeah, if it's already on the PS, then okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
hopefully they get that in there soon. But you're
Yeah.
right, it is I wonder how they can do it, but
Yeah.
plenty of other games have had very color-based stuff that they
That is true. That is true. What else was I going to say about this game apart from the fact that it's fucking awesome?
It's so good.
It's so good.
It's so good. Anything where, I think we get so used to playing games where definitely like the big ones that I'm looking forward to, it's immediate. Like a new third-person action adventure. They come out of the gates. You get a little set piece. You get tutorialized.
yeah.
You're like, oh, the movement in this feels so great.
Right.
You're in instantly. And something like this where you're like, you go in hearing that it's good, so you do have a bit of expectation, but you also don't really know anything, and and it's slowly revealing itself to you as you play.
Yeah.
It just is so satisfying.
Yeah.
Not just a thing that just ticks a box of like, yeah, I expected the new 3D Mario to be really fun, and it's really fun straight away. But being like, oh, fuck, okay, I'm like discovering what this game is, and it's like,
Yeah.
it's so satisfying.
Yeah, and then yes, with an indie game like this, with games like Inscription, other ones that are early in the developer's career,
Yeah.
just being like, oh well, we're gonna get fucking years more of work from this fucking creative genius.
Yeah. It does
yeah.
feel like we're in a golden period of this style of game that is, reveals itself to you over time, and the real writing stuff down, the feeling of like the lost instruction manual.
Yeah.
That's almost like, it's almost like that would be like a great name for the genre. In the way of like Metroidvania being coined of like the lost manual game.
Yes.
You get fuck all at the start, but it's all there. And again, it really speaks to, I think, like people's love for a different era of game, and also like so
definitely.
much stuff being, feels like a lot of bigger games have backed away on that a little bit, but the real
the hand holding,
the over explaining of tutorializing, and especially in a genre or style of game where it's like, I know to hold this to aim and this to shoot. I've played dozens of these. Like,
I started replaying Tunic recently.
Oh, yeah?
Which literally is a lost manual game.
Yeah, I never got too far with that, and I'm constantly thinking I should go back in.
Yeah, I'm a friend of the show, Timothy Clark, played it. I think finished it over summer and was raving about it. And I was like, I never finished that, but
I think I played it after Death's Door, which I loved, and it felt like the combat was not quite up to the standard of the combat in or it just, I don't know. I think it was like playing a similar style top-down game kind of just before it.
Yeah, yeah.
And it kind of, it just felt too different.
Yeah, and I don't... Because Death's Door was like super responsive and fast, and it was all about motion and dodging and stuff. And Tunic it is more like an old Zelda game. It is slower paced.
Yep.
You're just swiping your sword. Like
I think that's what I was feeling. I was loving the exploration in it, and then anytime I was having to do combat, I was like, I hate this. This just doesn't feel like it's quite there.
Yeah, and like that's a fair critique because
but I'm so interested in all the other all the other stuff I've heard about it. The mystery and the little bits where you actually are finding pieces of an instruction manual, I think is so sick.
Yeah, it's such a great idea for a game that literally exemplifies a genre. Which it's funny because it's like it doesn't actually matter what kind of game it is. It's a philosophy. Which I'm such a big fan of. Like you say, there was such a clogged era of fucking. Everything is a tutorial. Everything is explained. It feeds into that open world like glut of fucking map markers where it's like, leave me something to fucking discover.
Yeah.
Like Breath of the Wild being very similar in terms of like, this is just, there's none of that.
Go and do what you want.
You'll figure it out as you go.
Yep.
And
it has minimal stuff to begin with, which you can even like turn off.
Yeah.
I always think about that meme of just after Elden Ring had come out and the what was it? It was like Elden Ring if it was a Ubisoft game.
Oh,
and it's you can barely see the screen.
Yes. Yeah.
Just all this shit that you don't need.
But what I think that you do need is to play Blueprints if you haven't.
Yep.
Like we said, we've tried to not spoil anything and we haven't. And if you think we have, I've been kind of tracking what we've been talking about. There's still no way for you to take what we've said and use it to finish the game.
I feel like
you may not even understand what the second layer is based on what we've spoken about.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't even really talked up to the extent of the stuff that I've found. Like it's like a couple of things that you'd be like, oh, okay, yeah, that thing that they talked about, but that's like feels like it's about 1% of it.
Exactly. So if you still listened and you haven't, if you still listened to this point and you haven't played the game, still go in. It's all going to be so fresh and exciting and interesting, and
maybe I'll finish it in the next, who knows, week.
And
we can do a more full on,
little sealed section at the end.
So write in if you finished it, your thoughts. How the mystery unfolded for you.
Don't write into Tommy directly.
No. Email us, DM us, put it in the Discord, whatever. Maybe we can do a full sealed section about it.
And I certainly think we'll talk more about it come December. But fantastic game, 10 out of 10, loved it. And I reckon that'll do it for this week.
That'll do it for this week. We'll be back next week. Maybe more Blueprints. We'll
Mario Kart World
Direct. There's something else that came out this week that I didn't start yet that I was going to
Promise Mascot Agency.
Yes, that one.
I said that I was going to play it for this week, but I got Blueprints.
You got blue all over you.
I blew myself.
And then when's Claire Obscura? It's April 20 something.
That's coming up
sometime like next week.
That's coming to Game Pass as well, I think.
Right.
But keen for that one. That looks very cool. And I'm sure there will be another sick indie game that we never heard of pop up and
out of nowhere
blow our goddamn socks off.
Well, thanks everyone. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Get onto Patreon, support the show. You get a bonus episode every week. We really appreciate you joining us, and we'll see you next time. As we say here at the end of every episode of Filthy Casuals. Oh, Blueprints.
Oh, like a
blueprint.
Fuck me.
Fuck.
I just got that.
Is that part of it?